15. Northwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy conditions will fall to 13 for an
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show.
tomorrow.
It's great to have you along this morning. A lot of things happening, so let's get to it.
Fox News every hour on the hour and entertaining talk shows all day. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9 and Kello.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show on Thursday, December 5th already. It's really great to have you along this morning. Big stories. This shooting of the CEO of United Healthcare really is a huge story. Brian Thompson is the CEO again of United Healthcare. So he was shot and killed outside the New York Hilton Hotel. And they had been, the United Health Group, been holding its annual investor conference. And as he was going in, have you seen the footage of this? Fox News is showing it. In fact, right now, I can see he's cameras show him just walking along the sidewalk and the man appearing up behind him with a gun in hand, and wow. And shooting him a number of times. And so the New York Police Commissioner said the shooting was a brazen targeted attack. Every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack. Many people passed the suspect, but he appeared to wait for his target. So he knew what he was after. So very, very targeted. And apparently he left a message on the bullets that were used in the murder. This is, police have recovered, I think, 3 rounds and 3 discharge casings in front of the hotel, and they said the message appears to include the words deny, depose, and defend engraved on live rounds as well as the shell casings that were left behind by and this guy was masked. It was a masked assassin, but police they're saying that several pieces of the evidence each contained one word, indicating that he may have been trying to leave a message. So he used a silencer, appeared to be an experienced shooter, because surveillance footage showed him that the gun, at one point, the gun had jammed. But he was able to clear it and then proceeded. So he ran into an alleyway, hopped on an e-bike, and the search is underway. So again, he used a firearm with a silencer outside of the Hilton Hotel, gunning down Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. So this is just a huge story. And the CEO's wife, who was murdered yesterday, said her husband had, and this was happening just as or at least news of this was being released just as I had gotten off the air yesterday. And so his wife, Paulette Thompson, told NBC News that she, and this is terrible. NBC News is contacting her, and she's right in the midst of this, learning it. And so she was saying that her husband had been receiving threats. There had been some threats. So NBC asked, well, what were the threats about? She said, basically, I don't know, a lack of coverage. I don't know details. I just know that he said there were some people that had been threatening him. I can't really give a thoughtful response right now. I just found this out and I'm trying to console my children. Can you imagine this? And I understand this is the media and but just a devastating situation for her and for her children, the family of Brian Thompson. So this is, this is a big story in a number of the outlets I visited this morning. In fact, I've been sharing information from The Hill, the New York Post, FoxNews.com, the Post Millennial, also Axios. The killing of the CEO unleashes social media rage against insurers. What isn't social media raging about any day, any hour, any moment? They're raging about everything on social media. The Axios, this is why it matters. Experts say the lack of sympathy may reflect an inherent truth about Americans and their health plans. People tend to like their own insurer, but distrust the industry and indeed the health system at large. Thank you, wacko Axios. Also, Brian Thompson was also one of the senior executives being investigated by the Justice Department for insider trading at the time that he was killed yesterday. So there was some investigation ongoing there. So that story is just a big one, understandably, I think. Also, this in another incredibly sad story, a man targeted the California Seventh-day Adventist school, started shooting, and 2 young boys were critically wounded. This was in a shooting yesterday. Because of its church affiliation. This is the school now, the Seventh-day Adventist school. So this took place early yesterday afternoon. This is near Palermo, California. So the gunman had met with the principal about enrolling a student, and shortly after concluding that meeting, and by all accounts, everything was fine. It just went, had a meeting with the principal, and then walked out and started popping off shots. And the principal then, again, shortly after the meeting, the principal heard shots being fired, heard screams, and that's when they learned that students had been shot. So 2 students, these are boys, ages 5 and 6. Forgive me, because I wrestle with this. I'm just like, who in their right mind does this kind of stuff? It's just chilling. So these the 5 and 6-year-old were in extremely critical condition last night. And the principal said, I can tell you that the injuries are very, very serious. So the shooter then was apparently, by the time law enforcement arrived, the shooter had turned his gun on himself. So he was found dead at the scene by the time law enforcement got there. That's another big story this morning. Also, we've got the U.S. Supreme Court and a law from Tennessee. This is a Tennessee law that bans transgender, care for minors. So the Supreme Court heard about 2 hours of oral arguments yesterday, and we'll we'll see what happens. One of the things I think you really have to be mindful of is that the arguments and the questions and the comments that are made are not always an indication of where the court is going to stand. But several conservative justices, according to CNN, and they say notably Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh, signaled deep reservations with the idea that courts second-guessing lawmakers who have approved bans on puberty blockers and hormone therapy, as to, they're concerned about this. So the court's 3 liberal justices appeared then to be in favor of trans youth, and the parents then who challenged the Tennessee law. And this is just a very, very big issue. I think you're going to be hearing more about this on some of our national talk shows as the day unfolds. So that's a very big story. Yesterday, Justice Roberts zeroed in on the medical nuances involved in deciding what treatments minors should have access to. And he said this case is different from other legal disputes because it is intensely affected by medical considerations. And Roberts said, if that's true, doesn't that make a stronger case for us to leave those determinations to the legislative bodies rather than trying to determine them for ourselves? So and I think, and you may have heard this on the Fox News Rundown just prior to this show, as they were saying that Justice Gorsuch, not a word from Justice Gorsuch yesterday, that he was silent throughout. So we'll see where that goes. That's likely to be a big story here as we move forward. Certainly a big one today. Also, Pete Hegseth. These are stories from thehill.com that Pete Hegseth's nomination then as defense secretary may be, now keep in mind, the Hill leans to the left, really leans to the left at times. So, I mean, I share this with you. Because they're making it sound like it's dire. Because there's a headline of another story at the Hill. Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's defense secretary pick, in jeopardy. This is how they're putting it. And I don't know. I listened to Pete Hegseth, and he talked to Donald Trump yesterday, and you hear Hegseth's comments. He's like, Trump told him to keep fighting and hang in there, and and that's what he's doing. And Hegseth's talking about the meetings that he's had with members on Capitol Hill, and that everyone has gone. All of the meetings he's had have gone well. Nobody is saying, no, I can't support you. So nobody's saying to his face that they won't support him. So we'll see where this goes. I just think a lot of this, and you look at, okay, who's got reservations? Senator Lindsey Graham. Well, there you go. So I'm trying to be careful not to read too much into this. Also, Representative Jim Jordan was on Newsmax yesterday, and he is he's encouraging the president to stand fast with his picks. And Jordan said, you just push through it. I mean, they tried to do it to Brett Kavanaugh, and everyone hung tough, and the facts and the truth prevailed in the end. You have to have that attitude. We're going to push through. We're going to have the right people. And he was talking about not only about Pete Hegseth, but Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., And Jordan said, it's critical that the Senate approve Gabbard, he said. And he said, Tulsi is with us on this FISA reform that we so desperately need. The idea that you're going to go search this huge database of information and you're going to use an American citizen's name, phone number, or address, you've got to go get a warrant. That's how our system works. You've got to go to a separate and equal branch of government and get a probable cause warrant to go search people's information. For goodness sakes, he said, Tulsi is with us on that. And he went on at length. So I'll share more of Jim Jordan's comments later in the program this morning. Other big news stories this morning. Donald Trump said he would nominate former Representative Billy Long of Missouri to serve as the commissioner of the IRS. And Trump, like all of his other these other announcements, are coming through Truth Social. And Trump said of Billy Long, he said, Billy brings 32 years of experience running his own businesses in real estate and is one of the premier auctioneers in the country. And he said his relationship with Long goes back to 2011. And he said he described Long as a people person who was well respected on both sides of the aisle. So Billy Long will be the head of the IRS if Donald Trump has his say. There's another story this morning, and this one's closer to home. Sioux Falls Mayor Paul Tenaiken suggesting that state lawmakers stay away from culture wars yesterday. This is a story by Patrick Lally at Sioux Falls Live. And the mayor said during a media briefing that the best thing lawmakers can do for the city of Sioux Falls is to concentrate on the basic blocking and tackling. He said, I need the legislature to stay out of culture war issues and focus on the core needs of delivering services to the city and the state. He said, I think there's going to be a lot of culture wars that we're going to see, and I get why that is, but sometimes it forces us to take our eye off the core job we have, delivering services to the residents of our city as a whole. And then this was not well received by everyone. Representative Bethany Soy then said of the mayor's comments, I think that's pretty hypocritical of the mayor to say, when from the city perspective, it's okay to light up the Arc of Dreams for Transgender Visibility Day, and that doesn't count as a culture war, she said. She's got a point. She's got a point. Parents caring about what their kids are exposed to isn't a culture war. It's just being called a good parent. So more on that also this morning. And then Politico has got a story that a number of others are picking up the reporting by Politico that the president's senior aides are concerned about officials then who could face inquiries or even indictments during Donald Trump's presidency. And now that perhaps Joe Biden will be handing out blanket pardons, is among those believed to be targeted by the Trump administration are Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney, Dr. Anthony Fauci. And so the Biden White House Politico says is senior aides are conducting a vigorous internal debate over whether to issue these preemptive pardons to It's like, can we agree yet that this has just gotten way out of hand? I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. When it comes to pardons, I think there are going to be a number of them that will be frustrating for many of us. Forget about Hunter Biden. That's frustrating enough. But Politico is saying possibly Dr. Fauci and others. It's like, what in the world? I laugh because it's not funny, but I laugh to keep my sanity. Also, another story this morning that the LPGA, the Ladies Professional Golf Association, is banning transgender players from women's competition. So those who were born as men and gone through puberty, they will, regardless of their gender identity, will not be able to play under the new policy. They say athletes who were assigned female at birth are eligible to compete. So unless you were assigned female at birth, you will not be playing in the LPGA. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along, my friend. 626, partly cloudy, and 5. Yeah, that's right. Only 5 degrees. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tire Title. See in-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
I remember a time when Kyle and I were in our teens working for our dad in the summer, and we had one of those heavy rains, and we had to go through all these basements and tear out sheetrock from one basement to another, multiple days in a row, from 6 in the morning till 6 at night, with the heat and the water and the humidity out there. Got to be tough. I'm Andy Berg with Intech Cleaning and Restoration. My dad is Jerry Berg, who founded Intech Cleaning and Restoration. Intech has grown over the years from one location in Sioux Falls to now 3 locations in Brookings, Yankton, and Sioux Falls. One of the most common misconceptions about Intech is people don't know we do all the things we do. Some people don't know we do carpet cleaning, some don't know we do duct cleaning, fire restoration, water restoration, attic extraction, construction cleaning. To help you remember about everything we do, when you need it clean, call the Intech team. If you ever have a fire or water disaster, call the masters of disasters, Intech.
Your dog gives you unconditional love, a wagging tail, and slobbery kisses, right? Well, give them something in return. The Intelligence for Your Pets Premium Dog Box. Every month, your furry family member will receive organic treats and brain-boosting toys handpicked by our family, me, Connie, and Gib, and tested by Lucy the dog. Subscribe now at intelligenceforyourpets.com, and a package of surprises will be on its way so you can show your dog just how much they mean to you. It's the Intelligence for Your Pets Premium Dog Box. Order yours now at intelligenceforyourpets.com. intelligenceforyourpets.com.
Hey, want to step into my cough cloud?
Your what?
Baby, when I cough, I expel a cloud of droplets that hangs in the air all around me. It's wet, wild, and potentially virus-filled. And it's big enough for 2.
Ugh, cough clouds are sick. So take Robitussin DM Max. It soothes your throat and delivers fast, powerful cough relief. Robitussin, because it's never just a cough. Use as directed.
Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies today. High temperature at 18. Light northwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy this evening and tonight. Will fall to 13 early, then slowly warming by daybreak. Well, light winds tonight. High 38 tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies with a light southwest wind. From the Kettleland Live Doppler HD Storm Center.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, partly cloudy and 4 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center this morning. Coming up, South Dakota sales tax receipts could fall $80 million short of budget projections. Joe will have details Also, South Dakota Education Association voicing its opposition to a school voucher plan. Details on those stories and more coming up in moments on Kello.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The gunman who killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a hotel in New York City yesterday may have left a message behind.
The gunman escaped through an alleyway before hopping on an e-bike and disappearing into Central Park. And now we are learning some clues as to a possible motive: deny, depose, and defend, written on live rounds and shell casings left behind by the masked assassin.
Fox's Jamie Painter. 2 kindergarten boys are in what's being called extremely critical condition after being shot at a Christian elementary school in Oroville, California.
Law enforcement officers located an adult male who was down, deceased from what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Sheriff Corey Honea says there's information the school may have been targeted because of its Seventh-day Adventist affiliation. Oroville's in Northern California. America's listening to Fox News.
News brought to you by Sioux Falls Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. South Dakota's sales tax receipts could fall $80 million short of budget projections for this fiscal year. That's due to a slowing economy. Governor Kristi Noem is calling for more than $72 million in budget cuts for next year's budget. But, like last year, she wants lawmakers to make a temporary sales tax cut passed 2 years ago to be made permanent. Democratic House member Kaden Whitman of Sioux Falls says she thinks there's a better way to cut taxes.
The average South Dakotan doesn't feel that change. It's 30 cents on $100. I think if we really wanted to make a difference in the lives of South Dakotans and their families, we would allow the sunset clause to occur, the sales tax would be lifted back up, and I would like to see a removal of the grocery sales tax.
The legislature has the final say on the budget. They'll begin their work next month. The South Dakota Education Association is voicing its opposition to a school voucher plan proposed by Governor Noem. The teachers union says it diverts taxpayer money over to private schools and undercuts public education. Similar measures in the past have been shot down in the State House, but the incoming legislature is viewed as more conservative, making passing the proposal more likely. The gun accessory company Silencer Central is breaking ground on a new distribution center here in Sioux Falls. The new 60,000 square foot facility near 60th and Minnesota will centralize warehousing and distribution for the company while expanding operations. The building will also include specialized areas for gunsmithing, 3D printing, and a gun range for product testing. And in sports, in college basketball, South Dakota took down Idaho State 94-80. South Dakota State was edged by Montana 71-67. And tonight, the Coyotes are in Omaha for their match against number 2 seeded Creighton Blue Jays in the first round of the NCAA's women's volleyball tournament. Tickets were sold out, but you can catch the game on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Mostly sunny to partly cloudy today with a high temperature of 18. Northwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy conditions will fall to 13 for an overnight low with light winds. Warmer tomorrow, high temperature 38, mostly sunny, light southwest winds of 5 to 15. From the Kello Live Doppler HD Storm Center on Scotland.
If news is happening, you're hearing it now. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9 and Kello.com.
This time each year, we get the list of the world's most often used and easiest to hack passwords. Let's see if one is yours. I'm Kim Commando for SimpliSafe. Visit simplysafekim.com to save 50% on a new system. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. If you use any of these passwords, your account can be hacked in about 15 seconds. So here's this year's dishonor roll. At number 5, the first 6 letters on your computer keyboard, QWERTY, together with the numbers 1, 2, and 3. At number 4, the word password. In third place are the numbers 1 through 8. In second place, the numbers 1 through 10. And once again, the worst password is the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, some pro tips. Beef up any passwords by simply adding an exclamation point or a question mark, and make the password at least 12 characters. That password suddenly becomes very difficult to hack. Enter to win a $500 Amazon gift card right now at winfromkim.com. Amid holiday prep and gifts arriving on doorsteps, Keeping your home and family safe has never been more crucial. Why? Because FBI data shows that the holidays see a sharp rise in burglaries and theft. And right now, you can save 50% on a new Simply Safe system. Unlike traditional security systems that only kick in after someone is already inside your home, with Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection, monitoring agents can prevent crime before it starts. Seeing and speaking to suspicious individuals in real time and requesting 911 dispatch before they even reach your door. With no long-term contracts and professional monitoring plans starting around $1 a day, it's no wonder Simply Safe was named Best Home Security Systems by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Head to simplysafekim.com to save 50% on your new system with a select professional monitoring plan. That's simplysafekim.com. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Yellow Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson. Picture and combination.
The shooting of this CEO is just, you see that video, it's just, chilling.
Are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star.
And a number of the stories that are trending are all around his killing yesterday.
Owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews. Customer service is good.
But a lot of other news to share with you also here coming up in a moment. And a lot of it centered on Donald Trump and what he's doing and who he's choosing. And Peter Navarro is back. Trump's naming him as a senior manufacturing advisor. You'll remember Navarro because he went to prison for Trump, just like Steve Bannon did.
Izervay or avastin-captive J-Dex is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today. Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Okay, some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
Ooh, but at least you can get up and know.
The Greg Belfrage Show, with insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9. Entertaining talk and
638, partly cloudy, and 4. Oh, it's chilly this morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's really great to have you along. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
what's trending now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
There are a number of stories trending around the killing of Brian Thompson, who is the CEO of United Healthcare. And there's video footage of him being shot now. And you can see it. Fox News is showing it this morning. Thompson is seen walking down a New York City sidewalk when a masked man wearing a black hoodie, sweatshirt, and a backpack walks up behind him, raises a gun, and fires. So he fires off several shots. At one point, the gun appears to jam, and then he clears it and walked toward the victim, who was trying to crawl away at this point. So as he gets closer, He's struggling with the pistol then, and it appears then firing off one more round at the victim. So it's just blood chilling as you watch this unfold. So then he walked between a couple of vehicles, got onto a bike, disappeared into Central Park, and NYPD, it had been reported that he used a city bike, and those can be tracked. But then the NYPD clarified that the incident did not involve that type of bike. So he remains at large. There are images that are out there, and an incredible search that's underway. And police say this was a targeted attack. This was a brazen targeted attack, they say. Brian Thompson was 50 years old, and he was in New York then to attend the United Healthcare annual investors meeting. And that's when he was, so that clearly, and police are saying the shooter, a number of other people had been passing by. I mean, he did nothing. So he was looking for Brian Thompson and gunned him down. Other stories that are trending this morning. The New York Post has got a story about Donald Trump and his DEA pick. So this is, he had concerns about Sheriff Chad Cronister, who now dropped out of the, contention then to be the head of DEA. And apparently it was Donald Trump that made that happen, because Trump learned that the president heard about his actions during COVID, and that he had arrested a pastor. And sources saying then the president heard about this and did not want him. Donald Trump, very, very clear that he, during the, COVID and what happened during that time, we saw a lot of people's rights really just being trampled on during COVID, all in the name of, stopping the spread. And so Cronister apparently had arrested a pastor, and Donald Trump, upon learning that, got him to remove his name. So that was, it sounds as if that was, according to sources, Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky and Chip Roy of Texas had been critical of Cronister for having arrested this pastor at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so Trump was not happy as he heard about this and got him to withdraw. That's according to the New York Post. Also trending this morning, Donald Trump said yesterday that he's chosen former Senator Kelly Loeffler of Georgia to head the Small Business Administration. Trump said Kelly will bring her experience in business in Washington to reduce red tape and unleash opportunity for our small businesses to grow, innovate, and thrive. And Trump said Kelly was a tremendous fighter in the U.S. Senate during the first Trump administration, including helping to pass the first ever bill to protect women in sports, Trump said. Donald Trump also nominating Jared Isaacman. He is a financial technology billionaire He's also been a longtime SpaceX astronaut. So Jared Isaacman is Donald Trump's choice to be the next administrator of NASA. So if he's confirmed, he would oversee NASA. They've got a budget of about $24.8 billion. So this Trump's announcement came about 3 months after Isaacman and a SpaceX engineer, Sarah Gillis, made history by performing the world's first commercial spacewalk. You remember that? That was trending at the time. Jared Isaacman. So Donald Trump choosing him to lead NASA. Also, Trump has selected Paul Atkins to replace Gary Gensler as the next chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. So Atkins is a well-known securities lawyer, former SEC commissioner. That was during the time of George W. Bush, among other accomplishments that he's got as well. So Paul Atkins will be the next chairman of the SEC. And then Peter Navarro. Donald Trump announced yesterday that Peter Navarro will serve as, in his administration as a senior counselor for trade and manufacturing. So Navarro had been served in a similar post previously in the Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy, which is now defunct. So you'll remember Navarro spent several months in prison this year because he failed to comply with congressional subpoenas related to the January 6th riot. And so Trump said, I'm pleased to announce Peter Navarro, a man who was treated horribly by the deep state, or whatever else you would like to call it, will serve as my senior counselor for trade and manufacturing. He said, during my first term, few were more effective or tenacious than Peter in enforcing my two sacred rules: buy American, hire American. So the effective and tenacious, that was definitely, and again, I had the opportunity to interview Peter Navarro a couple of times. He was on the program twice. And he's a firecracker. And he is also one of the incredibly nicest guys I think I've had the opportunity to talk to. He just treated me with a great deal of respect both times he was on the program. And the guy is tough as nails. Also, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, wants to be part of the conversation as the Trump administration creates and implements policy regarding big tech. So this was announced by Meta's president of global affairs, that Zuckerberg wants to play an active role in the debates that any administration needs to have about maintaining America's leadership in the technological sphere. So Mark Zuckerberg apparently hoping to play a role in, as the Donald Trump administration is implementing its tech policy. Well, we're talking about Donald Trump. Also, Miami-Dade County has announced President Donald J. Trump Avenue. And that story is trending. So Miami-Dade commissioners approved a resolution to name Palm Avenue as President Donald J. Trump Avenue. Also, attorneys for Donald Trump have called on the judge overseeing his, falsifying records case. to dismiss the indictment. And they're citing Joe Biden in pardoning his son Hunter. So they are picking up on Joe Biden's comments to try to, in what the president had said regarding Hunter Biden. And so in their filing, they said yesterday, in issuing a 10-year pardon to Hunter Biden that covers any and all crimes, whether charged or uncharged, President Biden asserted that his son was selectively and unfairly prosecuted and treated differently. And so based on that, they are now appealing to the judge again to drop the, which I thought was great. Other stories that are trending this morning, this sad news: 2 kindergartners are in extremely critical condition. They were shot by a man who then shot himself. This was at a small religious school in Northern California. And the boys were young, 5 and 6 years old. So they are in critical condition. And the this is the sheriff who said, "I'm thankful they're still alive, but they have a long road ahead of them," he said, of the 5 and the 6-year-old. Also, the Supreme Court yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court, appeared likely to back a Tennessee law regarding transgenders, and transgender care arguments. And so there was some back and forth on the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday, about 2 hours that they heard the case. So the Tennessee law bans then what's called gender affirming care. I don't even like using the left. I think what they do is they come up with these euphemisms to hide what it is it's actually. And what we're talking about is surgical procedures on males then as they become females, and banning that for children. Other stories trending this morning: Jerry Nadler has dropped out of the race to run for another term as the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. And that's now paving the way for Jamie Raskin to take the position. And I've been seeing stories and reporting on this much of this week, that Raskin was positioning himself to challenge Nadler. Nadler is dropping out of the race to run the, for that committee. Also, the mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan, has been in office since 2014, announced that he's running for Michigan governor, but he's doing it as an independent. So he has served decades in public office, told city employees last week he would not run for another term as mayor. And then he officially announced in a news release that he's running to replace then Gretchen Whitmer, who will be term limited after 2016. He's been a Democrat his entire political career, but he said he's running now as an independent because he wants to change the current system that forces people to choose sides. I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. I think you are able to see. I don't feel like I have to choose even though I'm a Republican, I don't feel that I have to speak as a Republican all of the time, or that I have to support Republicans even when I think they're wrong. I think that's called having courage. So I don't think you need to become suddenly an independent. I'm very skeptical of people who want to change their spots like that, unless it's, very, very clear and they're speaking about it and I think he is speaking clearly about it. That story is trending this morning. Also, the FBI is investigating after large drones were spotted flying over central New Jersey over the last couple of weeks. So the FBI said the cluster of what looks to be drones and a possible fixed wing aircraft have been recently sighted there flying over central New Jersey over the course of the last few weeks. Tucker Carlson says he may be returning to Russia. And actually announced yesterday that he was back in Russia to interview Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. So Carlson had interviewed Vladimir Putin in Moscow in February. And Carlson said yesterday he would ask Lavrov whether the U.S. and Russia are heading toward a potential nuclear conflict and whether Moscow thinks Trump will end the war in Ukraine. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. It's cold this morning, currently partly cloudy and 4 at Kello. Thank you for being here, my friend. I hope to see you again at 9:30 for the 4th hour. And of course, you can hear the remainder of the program, whether on the Kello app. You can download the free Kello app from Kello.com, or you can listen here locally. But thanks so much for being here. See you again soon.
Whether you're looking for ag, construction, or fleet equipment, we're here to ensure a clear, hassle